Google, Meta, and every platform that sells intents have built a $1 trillion industry on one premise: only pay for people ready to buy. It sounds smart, efficient, because why waste money on anyone who isn't already raising their hand? So here's the truth they don't put in the sales deck. That promise is a trap. And if you build your marketing around it, you're not building a business. You're renting customers by the click. And as any Lagos tenant will tell you, rent only goes up. Now, most marketers love this playbook because the numbers are easy to track. Cost per click, cost per acquisition, return on ad spend. And when those numbers look good, everyone is happy. The problem is that those numbers only tell you what happened inside of the campaign. They do not tell you what is happening to your business. They do not tell you that your cost per acquisition is quietly creeping up every quarter because competition for the same buyers keeps increasing. They do not tell you that the customers you're winning have no loyalty and leave the moment a competitor offers a discount. And they definitely do not tell you that the moment you stop spending, your brand goes silent. A campaign can be performing well on paper while your business is becoming more fragile every single month. That is the dashboard lie. So here's your first diagnostic. Look at the last 3 months of marketing spend. What percentage went towards people already searching to buy versus people who had never heard of you? If almost everything went towards active searchers, you're almost entirely dependent on renting attention. So write that number down because you will need it later. So here is something most brands have never been told clearly. At any given moment, only 3 to 5% of your potential market is actively ready to buy. These are the people comparing, clicking. They have their wallets out. The other 95% are still on their journey, and that journey has 5 distinct stages. The first group does not even know they have a problem yet. They are problem unaware. The second group knows something is not quite right, but cannot name it yet. They are problem aware. The third group knows a solution exists, but has not found the right one. So they are solution aware. And the fourth group knows about product like yours, but has not chosen one. They are product aware. And then the fifth group, the smallest one, knows exactly what they want and is ready to buy right now. They are the most aware. Most brands spend almost all of their budget talking exclusively to that last group, the most aware buyers. And here is why that is so expensive. Every competitor is doing exactly the same thing. You're all bidding against each other for the same tiny slice of the market. Cost per click goes up, cost per acquisition goes up, and the buyers you win from this auction have no particular loyalty to you. They clicked because they needed a solution, not because they had any reason to trust your brand specifically. Today's conversion is tomorrow's abandoned cart. That's just what it is. So what this looks like in practice, for the purpose of just, painting a clear picture, we're going to be using a fictional brand throughout this video. So let's say we call them Crofts & Co., a premium leather goods brand. Now, this story is completely made up, but the pattern is real, and I'm sure you would recognize it. So Crofts & Co. launches with a paid search strategy, bidding on terms like handmade leather wallets Nigeria and luxury leather bag Lagos. So the agency reports are positive, clicks are coming in, sales are happening. 12 months later, the founder notices something uncomfortable. Every time they increase spend, sales go up. Every time they pull back, sales fall off a cliff. There's no floor, no baseline, no customers finding them organically. The brand has no presence that exists without the budget behind it. The customers they are winning have no real connection to the brand either. They searched, they found, they bought, and some of them cannot even remember the brand's name a month later. So re-engaging them costs almost as much as finding someone new because the relationship was a transaction from the start. Nothing more. The dashboard still looks fine, but the business has no roots. So I'd like you to pause here and ask yourself honestly, if your ad spend stopped tomorrow, would your brand still exist in any meaningful way? Would people still be talking about you, searching for you, referring you to others? If the answer is no, you smell trouble already. Now, the alternative is to create demand before it exists. The most expensive moment to reach a buyer is when they are already ready to buy. So real efficiency happens before that moment arrives. When you show up early and consistently across all 5 stages of that buyer's journey, something shifts. So by the time they are ready to buy, they already know you. They trust you. They come to you by choice rather than because you outbid a competitor at the last second. This is how you talk to all 5 stages, not just the last one. The problem unaware and problem aware groups need content, not promotional content, educational content that helps them name what they are experiencing and understand why it matters. So let's say, for example, if Croft & Co. were to publish a guide on how to spot the difference between genuine and synthetic leather, they're reaching people who do not even know they should care yet. But now they do, and Croft & Co. is the brand who told them. The solution-aware and product-aware groups, they need community and proof. They know what they're looking for. What they are deciding is who to trust. A brand with an active community of real customers sharing real experiences answers that question without the brand having to say a word. So ask yourself, do your customers have a reason to gather around your brand, or do they only show up at the point of purchase? The most aware group, the ones that are ready to buy right now, need a reason to choose you over everyone else bidding for their attention. That reason is the trust and familiarity you have already built by showing up at every earliest stage. So one way to build that is to pick one clear opinion about your industry that most brands are not willing to say out loud, and say it consistently until you own that position. These 3 layers, content, community, and a clear point of view that we also call identity, do not replace paid advertising, but they make paid advertising dramatically cheaper and more effective because you are no longer introducing yourself to a stranger at the most competitive moment. You're following up with someone who already knows you. So what this looks like at the end of the day is that a shift will happen. So the same brand, Croft & Co., for example, 2 years later, the founder has stopped treating content as a secondary activity and they make it the primary one. They document the making of their product. They tell the stories behind their materials. They even go as far as publishing honest pieces on what separates real craftsmanship from what most brands are quietly selling. A small but genuinely engaged audience starts to build around people who care about what the brand cares about. So they create a community space where customers and enthusiasts can talk about craft and quality without being sold to. It develops its own culture. So when the next collection drops, people are already waiting for it. The launch email has an open rate 3 times higher than anything they had sent before because the people reading it have been part of the story for months. The first run sells out in 4 days with no paid campaign attached. When a competitor launches something similar at a lower price, it barely lands. The Croft & Co. community is not shopping on price. They are buying from a brand whose story they know and whose values they have watched in action. That kind of loyalty cannot be bought. It has to be earned. Their cost per acquisition dropped significantly, not because they found cheaper clicks, but because a growing share of new customers arrive through referrals, organic search, and community. So people who already knew and trusted the brand before they ever spent a penny. This is the after, a brand that exists independently of the budget. So when we look at the compounding effect, paid campaigns stop the moment you stop paying. The assets you build through content, community, and trust keep working long after you create them. A piece of useful content published today can bring in a new customer 6 months from now without you doing anything. A community member earned today can refer 3 people over the next year without being asked. A paid ad runs today, disappears the moment the budget runs out. One of these is an asset, the other is a receipt. It's important to also understand that paid ads are not the enemy. Paid advertising is a powerful tool. The mistake is using it as the foundation rather than the accelerant. In our example with Kraft & Co., Kraft & Co. will still run paid campaigns, but now they are amplifying content that already performs on its own. They are retargeting people who have already engaged with the brand. The ads are fuel on the fire that is already burning, not the spark. The rule that is worth keeping: paid spend should accelerate demand that already exists, not manufacture it from scratch. If your campaign are the only thing making people aware your brand exists, you're paying full price for something that content, community, and a clear point of view should be doing for a fraction of the cost. Think about it from the perspective of renters versus owners. So waiting for buyers is like renting in a hot neighborhood. You pay peak price every month and you never own anything. Creating demand is like buying early. The cost is low, the value grows over time, and the asset keeps working long after the initial investment. So competitors can still outbid you in the auction, but you are already ahead, owning something that they cannot replicate with just budget. So the final check: go back to the number you wrote down earlier. Now ask 3 questions. What happens to your brand if the spend stops tomorrow? How many of your current customers already knew who you were before they ever saw one of your ads? And is there anything you have built in the last 12 months that is still bringing people in without you actively maintaining it? Your answer tells you exactly where you sit on the spectrum, from renter to owner, and what the most important thing to fix actually is. Now, most marketing teams are obsessed with short-term results, and the platforms they use are designed to keep them that way. But the brands that scale and stay do not win by being the highest bidder at the moment of purchase. They win by showing up long before that moment, earning trust across every stage of the buyer's journey, and letting demand come to them. Paid clicks can amplify that, but they are not a substitute for it. Renters pay every month. Owners build wealth over time. Your buyers are no different. So the next time someone tells you that targeting in-market buyers is the most efficient strategy, remember this: efficiency is not capturing buyers after they raise their hand. Efficiency is being the brand that they already trust when they do. So stop renting and start owning. This is the difference between businesses that scale and businesses that burn cash. I'll see you in the next one.